Welcome, dear traders. You are watching a recap of the Asian session. It appears the main risk for Wall Street may disappear next week. What's more, the majority of traders are now betting on another rate hike by the Fed. Strong U.S. macro stats published this week dispelled recession fears, and fresh economic reports from Japan also impacted sentiment in the Asian session. Although the core CPI turned out to be slightly lower than the forecasts, it hit 4.1% for the first time in almost 4 decades. The core inflation exceeds the central bank's 2% target for the 13th straight month. It challenges the Bank of Japan's view that inflation will decline below its target this year as the cost pressures dissipate. Bank of Japan Governor Kazuo Ueda is committed to maintaining an out-to-lose stance. The regulator needs more evidence that the rise in inflation has become more sustainable and driven by strong demand rather than supply pressures. The inflation rate in Japan rose to 3.5% in April 2023 from the March 6-month low of 3.2%. Earlier this week, GDP figures were published. Japan's economy showed a decent growth in the first quarter. Economy Minister Shukui Niigata expects moderate expansion amid improved sentiment, higher wages and steady investments. Japanese stocks advanced following such news, and the benchmark stock indexes rose to 33-year highs. The yen also managed to recover. On a Friday morning, the dollar-yen pair fell to 138.10, but it was trading rather volatile. Even despite the strong US dollar, the yen was trying really hard to take the upper hand in the range of 137.90 and 138.70. Investors betting on a decline in the greenback must be really disappointed with the latest economic reports. Positive macro stats unveiled this week eased fears of a recession. The labor market is slowing down, albeit at a moderate pace. Negotiations between the Biden administration and the Congress on the debt ceiling are likely to end in a few days. New comments of Fed policymakers were also hawkish. There is even a likelihood of another rate increase. For example, Dallas Fed President Lori Logan said that current data doesn't justify pausing rate hikes yet. A rally of the US dollar index that started yesterday has been pushing its rivals down. However, in the morning, the greenback lost steam and consolidated at 103.50. It was trading in the bearish corridor of 137.97 and 138.70. There are several reasons for its rollback. Jerome Powell is scheduled to make a speech tonight. Investors want to hear his comments before making important decisions. Apart from that, the debt ceiling is likely to be raised. It means that there will be a surge in liquidity in the markets. In other words, markets will be flooded with the cheap money, which will trigger a fall in the US dollar. However, today the greenback may extend its growth for the second week in a row. Its rise was also fueled by growing yields of US Treasury notes. They are likely to retain an upward movement in the coming days. The Australian dollar appreciated in the Asian trade amid improved sentiment on Wall Street. Its upward movement was also bolstered by growing oil prices and China's intention to expand its economic and trade ties. China's President Xi Jinping mainly referred to countries of Central Asia. However, the opening of Chinese markets and economic expansion are also favorable for Australia as well. As a result, the USD pair touched 0.6654. A little bit later, like stock indexes, the Aussie slid into a consolidation phase. Investors are looking forward for the remarks of Fed and ECB policymakers on a monetary policy. By the end of the Asian session, the AUD was moving in the upward range over 0.6617 and 0.6658. However, its growth looked more like a consolidation. The New Zealand dollar resumed an upward movement at the end of the week amid strong domestic economic reports and expectations of a further aggressive tightening. The meeting of the Reserve Bank of New Zealand will be held next week on May 23. The Kiwi dollar pair may end this week with gains in the morning. It was trading in the range of 0.6223 and 0.6277. At the end of the session, the New Zealand currency climbed to 0.6272. We hope your trading is profitable at the end of the week. Subscribe to our channel and keep close tabs on the market developments, and see you soon.